what I experienced was 2 weeks before the diagnosis, I suddenly came down with extreme fatigue. I only had 1 hour of productive time a day. So I could go on a meeting and I had to sleep for the rest of the day. I had this suspicion that, was I being burnt out from all that overwork? Little did I know that it would be a major health problem. It started as very minor signs because I've experienced burnout from work before, right? And I know how it could feel being more tired than usual. One day I went to a networking event. When I exit the car, I had excruciating headache. And I had to go to the washroom and I just threw up. Sometimes, even if you're a high performer, you have always been productive. I was a six-figure earner when I was employed. But with that kind of mindset, having to tell yourself to slow down, it's a very difficult thing and you feel guilty. I stayed on, went to the clinic and they found my blood pressure was 178.
Wow.
I mean, I didn't expect the blood test to come out that way, right?
Welcome to today's episode of Wise and Shine. I'm Dawn, your host for this episode, author of Take Back Control of Your Money, and I'm joined here with my co-host, Alex.
Yes, this is Alex Lowe, your growth mindset coach, and congratulations, Dawn, on the launch of your book.
Thank you. About time, considering you already had yours previously.
Yeah, mine was done not that many years ago, but 3 years ago, published by Marshall Cavendish. I wrote 2 children's books. Right, one on stress management and another one on identifying your unique talents, dedicated to my firstborn, who's already now 7 years old.
Time flies.
Yeah, time flies, yeah. So today we are talking about health.
Yes, and I really love this topic because it's very relevant in Singapore. We're always just, rushing and going about our jobs, climbing up the career ladder, that most of us actually neglect our health when we enter the workforce. I don't know about most people, but I'm certainly guilty because I went from being very active, very deliberate about my diet to hardly exercising the moment I joined the workforce. And it took me several years to readjust that back to the habits. And it's still a journey that I am on now. So today on the show, we have 2 guests who have been very generously sharing with us their stories on the back cam, and we're bringing them on board right now to tell you about how life looks like when you go from peak performance to suddenly having to pause because of a health condition, or when your body actually tells you, stop, take a break, and we need to focus on repair and recovery. So joining us on the set today are Howie. You want to give a quick introduction?
Hi everyone, I'm Howie. I was an entrepreneur and an investor years ago, and last year in November 2023, I had to stop working for 1.5 years because of end-stage kidney failure. And I recently started a new project because of the new lifestyle I have to lead, and it's called Kintsugi Investing with a business partner, and we teach people how to invest.
Nice.
And Bernard?
So my name is Bernard Sim. I'm a banking professional, been in banking for, I think, slightly over a decade right now, focus on regulatory change. My story is a little bit different from Howie's. I was actually a very, very big person, right? So clinically obese, and during COVID, I decided to take the very, very courageous journey of transforming my life, transforming my overall image through bariatric surgery, and that kind of led me through the journey while still maintaining my corporate job and experiencing a massive lifestyle change in between.
Yeah, so thanks Bernard and Howie for availing your time to share with us and our audience here today. Right, just for context sake as well, right? Most people always say that when you pass 40, that's where the health problems start coming about, right?
I thought it was past 30.
No lah, 30 is still so young. Right, so past 40, right? And since you're gentlemen here, okay to reveal your ages, right? Can you share how old you are right now? And also, you mentioned COVID, that's when things happened. So that's about 3-4 years ago. And for Howie was 1.5 years ago, right? Almost 2 years. Yeah, so can you share a bit about how life was like before and how life has been since the health. I wouldn't even call it a scare, right? Was it a health scare? It was literally a health problem or health issue or health episode. Yeah.
Well, for me, it was a health crisis. I was on in the peak of my career. At that point of time in 2023, I was 38 years old. This year, have not passed my birthday, so I'm not 40 yet.
Right.
So I had the mentality that before I'm 40, the health problems won't come.
Right.
But I was wrong because I did not do the annual health checks, and I thought that okay, I would do all this after once I hit 40. I will start. And to give you a little bit of context, kidney failure takes about 20 years to fully evolve into end stage because it starts from stage 1, 2, 3, 4, and then finally stage 5, which is the end stage. Right. But for me, what I experienced was 2 weeks before the diagnosis, I suddenly came down with extreme fatigue. I only had 1 hour of productive time a day to do anything. So I could go on a meeting and I had to sleep for the rest of the day, or I could even just spend time with my child or my wife for 1 hour, and there goes my day. So I didn't have much time to do anything. As compared to before that, my schedule was packed to the max. Every day was about, how can I do more? How can I do more? How can I do more? How can I be more productive? Who can I meet?
Which pretty much describes most Singaporeans, so you wouldn't be alone in that.
Because I had this suspicion that was I being burnt out from all that overwork, or was there, little did I know that it would be a major health problem. I thought that hey, perhaps I just need a break.
Yeah, you just need a holiday or something.
It's easy to mistake this signs for a burnout, especially if your life before that was always just, 100 or 120% all the time. But when you say that usually it takes 20 years to develop, when up to the moment when you knew or you realized, received that diagnosis, how long before that do you feel on hindsight looking back that the signs was already there, but maybe you were just brushing it off because you thought it was something else?
It was maybe about 2 years or so, and it started as very minor signs because I've experienced burnout from work before, right? And I know how it could feel being more tired than usual. But again, it was another postponing moment until one day I went to a networking event. I was on a Grab there, and when I exit the car, I had excruciating headache. And I had to go to the washroom, and I just threw up. It was, it really confused me because after throwing up, I thought I'll feel better. I didn't. And the headache just kept going and going and going.
So was that the moment when you decided, okay, enough procrastination, I need to go and see a doctor tomorrow?
So you went straight to A&E?
So I went straight to a doctor, a clinic, right? After that.
After the networking event?
I kind of held through it because I am that kind of person. I would work through things.
I think lots of Singaporeans can relate. I can imagine actually I would do the same thing.
Right?
Yeah, but you need to listen to your body.
That's why we're doing this episode. We have to learn.
That's what I hope the audience, learn as well. That sometimes, even if you're a high performer, you have always been productive. I was a six-figure earner when I was employed. I went into entrepreneurship. I built 7-figure business as well. But with that kind of mindset, having to tell yourself to slow down, it's a very difficult thing, and you feel guilty. So I stayed on, went to the clinic, and they found my blood pressure was 178.
Wow, okay.
Right, a normal blood pressure range is probably around 120, 110,
120, yeah.
right? So the doctor was surprised. I was surprised. And at first they said, okay, maybe your arteries are starting to stiffen. I was like, I'm barely 40 yet. So this couldn't be the case. I saw 3 general practitioners, GPs, before the last one gave me a blood test. When I went to get the report, the doctor said, you need to go to A&E. And then I didn't know what to expect, so I just went. And I remember calling my insurance agent, what should I do? and all that, just to make sure that my finances are also taken care of as well. So I went to the hospital, and the doctor there was surprised that my creatinine level was like over 1,005, over 1,006, because the usual range was for end-stage kidney failure was 800.
Wow. So that's the toxicity level, right?
Yes, correct. That's the amount of waste in your body.
That accumulated.
Yes, and we heard. I mean, if you work out, you probably heard of creatine.
Yeah, that's the supplement that you take to have muscle growth and stuff, right?
Yes, and creatinine is the waste product of that. From your muscles, it gets produced when you're active, right? Not even working out, even you're just moving around, get through the day, your body produces that. And my level of toxicity is that high. It affected my appetite. It affected my sense of taste, and I was just almost half in a daze in the clinic.
How did you feel when the doctor told you at that point it's end-stage kidney failure?
I had to pause for 1 minute. I must say that was a very fragile moment for me. I did had a moment where I cried.
And you were all alone without your family beside you, right? Because you said you went yourself.
I mean, I didn't expect the blood test to come out that way, right? So with that, I had to pause for that moment. I did tear up for a while, and then finally I just looked down at my doctor and I asked him, what's next? Will I lose my life? Or, what should I expect? He told me, well, you won't die from kidney failure, but you have quite a long journey ahead. So I had to take the next step.
Were there any other major procedures that you had to go through apart from the dialysis? So right now, dialysis, is it a regular thing or it was only during that period?
So right now I've gone through transplant, and so I don't have to go through dialysis anymore. The good thing about it is that transplant, once you've undergone transplant, most of your life comes back. Maybe about 95% of your life is back. It did take me a while to get the energy.
Did you have to wait for very long before a transplant came along?
Before the transplant. So the good thing is, and I've not announced this anyway, but let's do it in this show. My donor is actually my mom. So so I was lucky in the sense that I have a life. There was a match, and it's a life donor. So if not a deceased, if we're looking for a deceased donor, you have to wait typically up to 10 years for it. That's the average waiting time. None of my family has had any renal failure history. Yeah, so this issue can hit anybody.
Yeah, sometimes it's really the fate that life deals you. We may not have done anything. I've known friends who have been very active and very healthy, but they get all sorts of stuff, cancer diagnosis and all. And when they look back, they always say, I don't think I did anything to deserve it or anything that would have led up to it. It's just the hand that life dealt me. And that's hard. Thank you, Howie, for sharing your story. Bernard, we want to hear from yours as well. So for Howie, his signs was fatigue, which he brushed off as potential burnout. And it took about 2 years before you recognized what the real problem was. But for your case, could you share how was your health episode like to go from, peak career to having to pause and deal with that?
Actually, if we were to just dial back a little bit, right when we started on this section, right, I do agree with you that the health issues do start at 30. Right, I think that's when like getting up from a squat, you start hearing your knees crackle a little bit.
Yes, oh my gosh, the squat. Yes,
the squat. And thankfully in Singapore we don't have that many squatting restrooms anymore. So I'm thankful for that. But I think as we entered our 30s, right? I'm 35 this year, just turned 35 about 2 months back. The health issues start to pile up. And having lived life through the 20s, right, the first 30 years of my life, you don't really notice any of these health issues. You don't really care that much about taking your supplements, your vitamins. I mean, it's more of an afterthought, really. But all these things really do stack up. And unfortunately, I'm starting to feel the effects right now. For myself, I have lived a relatively, or rather clinically healthy lifestyle. I didn't have like high blood pressure, high cholesterol, or like hypertension, and none of all that, or diabetes. But I was on a very, very much heavier frame, right? At my peak, I was like 160 kilos. And the issues that surfaced at that time were things like joint pain, and just having a very, very heavy mass. So ultimately, there were a lot of things or situations that I felt very uncomfortable in. Getting onto a plane, right? Sharing on economy, and obstructing or overflowing into the seat next to me, or even just sitting in a bus and nobody wanting to share the seat with you. I think that led to a lot of body image or even like self-esteem issues as well. And that was something that I had to live most of my life with. It was during this time, I think in the late 2020s, when I started reading up a little bit more. At the time, I was a little bit curious about bariatric surgery. So there were two viable options that are available to most people right now. The first one is called a gastric sleeve that essentially removes 70 to 80% of your stomach from out of your body and essentially reshapes your stomach into the size and shape of a banana. The other one is where they remove your stomach completely, and that's called a gastric bypass. So essentially linking your large intestine straight to your esophagus. That doesn't remove the stomach, it just bypasses the stomach. The stomach still plays a very vital part in the production of hormones and all that. But these two procedures essentially limit the amount of food that you can take. It, in a way, kind of like clinically makes you a little bit bulimic as well, but not to the effect. For me, I decided to go with the gastric sleeve, right? So everything still remains relatively intact on a much smaller capacity. That, to me, was a journey that I took in 2020. And over the course of early 2021. And over the course of like probably a year plus, I lost about close to like 50 to 60 kilos. So that was a massive change for me. In between, did I really have to take a break? Not really. And I'm very fortunate that my organization, the organization that I work for, is flexible enough. And supported my recovery as well. Mm-hmm. So I think literally 2 or 3 days post-surgery, after I was discharged, I was back at my desk, right? Regulatory compliance, project manager. So it was mostly desk-bound. The most movement that I needed to do was on my hands or like getting up to go to the washroom. So that was still very, very much fine. Right. And during the whole COVID period, I think that helped me in my journey of recovery as well. It was the government's way of saying, stay put, stay, and don't stress yourself out too much. So
right.
very, very thankful of that.
For Howie's case, you had to stop. Like your body literally told you, stop, go and give me my space to repair. But for yours, you were saying that it wasn't really the case. So what made you, because the typical Singaporean, I can relate to Howie because I can imagine just going and never stopping until you're forced to. But in your case, no one forced you. What made you wake up one day and decide, I need to do this for myself and put my health first?
Well, so if you were to ever look at someone who's obese or morbidly obese, which I was, the first thing that comes to your mind would not be that this person is a healthy person. Mm. And that's a fact. Because eventually, even if you're to continue living, even if I still continue living my life the way it was without the high cholesterol, diabetes, or hypertension, I feel and clinically proven, it is a ticking time bomb. It would eventually set in. That aside, my joints would eventually wear or have worn faster. Past 30s, like we said, like I shared earlier, that crackling of the knees, that was very, very much expressed as well. I did try to live a active lifestyle in the past. I really enjoyed impact sports. I did try boxing, MMA, Muay Thai, which I thought kept me happy, but I also felt that the injury rate, continuously climbed. So it was not ideal, and I felt that I wanted that reset.
Hey, I hope you're enjoying Wise and Shine so far. I'm your host Reggie, aka your chief financial coconut, and for us to continue to do this show so that you become a tad bit wiser every week, you gotta like, share, subscribe, help us beat the algorithm. But even more importantly, if you can, comment in the comment section below. Let us know your thoughts and also some questions that you would love us to answer. Yep, now back to the show.
For both of you, thank you for sharing so raw and so much in detail with us, so we and our readers and listeners can understand how it looks like when your body forces you to just pause and repair itself instead of just going what we call BAU, right? Business as usual in life. How did this experience, though, this health episode, for your case, a health crisis, how did it shift your views on success or your career or even the people that you choose to surround yourself with?
So it was a very drastic change for me in the sense that prior my renal failure diagnosis and also before all this thing happened, I rated success as being highly productive. I had a lot of metrics for myself. You got to hit a certain revenue goal, you got to hit a certain net worth goal whatsoever. And of course, I was also aware of the fact that I need to spend time with my family, right? So I was juggling both at the same time. But I was more of looking at it as money being the engine towards what I wanted. This having time with my family, happiness can stem from that aspect of life. Whereas after diagnosis, I was forced to just stop everything. And in fact, I'm technically still on a break from my career now, right? I've started my business just very recently. We decided to go really slowly. And the belief and the philosophy that I have right now in my life is do something and see where it takes you. Because do something based on what is the priority that you should be prioritizing now. So I prioritize the time with my family the most. I prioritize being happy at what I do on a daily basis to be the most important right now, instead of prioritizing how much I can make. But again, for me, I still have the ambition inside me. Okay? But the type of energy that I have right now is very different from what was before. Right? My energy is a lot more calm and relaxed as compared to previously.
So you talk about your metric shift, but I didn't hear you mention health in that shift. So how has your health crisis changed the way you look at or prioritize health in your everyday life now?
So to me, yeah, and I guess the reason why I didn't mention this is because to me, health and mental health are closely linked. And at the same time, it's because if you feel stressed all the time, you wouldn't be able to hold the discipline to whether to control your diet. For me, I tend to eat less when I'm stressed. I tend to get a fast meal, like get something that is easy, processed food to just get through my day. But right now, because I'm in this calmer mood, I'm able to say, okay, I need the nutrition now, so I'm going to go for it. And each time I order something, I make sure that there is vegetables, there is enough protein but not too much, and the carbohydrates I take in, I'm also careful about that as well. So in a way, these two parts are linked, and also your body tends to suffer if you're stressed because it produces a lot of cortisol, and that tends to put your body in that fight or flight situation all the time, and you get more and more worn out.
That is so true, because just like what we prefaced this episode with, the reality for many of us Singaporeans is that when we go into the workforce, we prioritize our work. We're all about, let's impress our boss, let's climb up the career ladder, let's work towards that 6-figure and the next position. And we forget to stop and think, am I meeting my daily macros, my nutritions, my vitamins? Am I working out? Have I been sitting too long at the desk and not stand up? And it's really because of this. I think, Bernard, you were the one who said it. These little habits over time stack up, and the lack of doing that is the reason why sometimes our body fails in the first place. Just that for every one of us, it manifests in a different way.
Well, it seems like you definitely are preferring this new lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
And Bernard, maybe we can check in with you as well on what sort of systems or boundaries have you put in place for yourself with this new life post-surgery and post-health
Has
issue?
it shifted anything?
Oh, it has shifted so much. So not many people have this privilege of what I managed to do, which is to open up my wardrobe, dig both hands in, grab everything out, and say, I'm giving all of these away. Everything. So definitely financially, on the clothes front, I've been exposed to a lot more options. So I've been buying clothes like crazy. I mean, that was the past. Right now, slowed down quite a bit. But I think that boosted my confidence a lot. And in terms of like my physical capabilities as well, we embarked. So my wife and I, we embarked on on a lot of growth together as well. So one story that I'd like to share is probably the journey of me learning to cycle. I was never able to cycle, and I made that decision to learn how to cycle February 2024.
To learn how to cycle.
To get on the bicycle and learn how to cycle. That was actually driven by the inclination to want to ride a motorcycle. So I kind of started my motorcycle lessons in February 2024 without learning how to cycle. And it was probably after like maybe 3 or 4 lessons of constantly falling down, getting bruised, getting battered all the time, that I decided, okay, you know what? Let me just approach this guy on Carousel who guarantees that I will be able to learn how to cycle in 1 hour.
I need to hire that guy for my kid.
And I highly recommend it because I learned how to cycle, or at least balance on 2 wheels after that hour. A lot of practice, a lot of grit, a lot of determination later, and I love cycling. Absolutely love cycling. The classes for motorbike progressed, and I'm very, very happy. I still fell down a couple of times, right? Nobody's perfect. And I have to say that learning how to ride a motorbike in Singapore, probably a lot tougher than most people would think, right? And as of early June this year, I got my license.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
That was actually not an easy journey.
And you bought your motorbike soon after.
I rode here actually, so that was always fun.
I want to ask one last question before we wrap up. Thank you so much for sharing. And I actually read this somewhere whereby, because for me, I'm in finance, and it's always about the numbers and the dollars, right? And this woke me up because one day I saw this quote that no matter how many zeros you have, it's useless if you don't have that one, and that one refers to your health. But the struggle I have, and I think I say this for most Singaporeans and our listeners as well, is that for high performers or people who are very ambitious, how does that really look like practically to still go towards your goal, but take care of yourself so that we don't lose or end up in a health episode?
Yeah, right. So for me, it's about thinking of creative ways to work. So instead of thinking that the more I do, the more I can achieve now, it's about where can I apply the leverage to get to the same goal without as much energy consumption? Or if I could put in more thoughts into this first before executing, because we are so used to executing, like the mantra doing is, you gotta do, and done is better than perfect. It is true, and it still holds true now for me. But again, before I execute on something, I would probably take a minute or two to think about how to do it first, and can I think of it? Can I achieve it in a different way than before? For example, leveraging on AI right now, right? There could be a different tool that I could use, or this could be my goal, but could I do it in a way that is different than before? Like, for example, in the past, to me, it's about getting more customers if I need more income. But right now, I realized that, hey, my portfolio has always been by my side, growing. And instead of looking there, I switched my focus towards my portfolio, which didn't consume as much energy for me because I'm a long-term investor. And also for some reason, when I only had 1 hour productive time, I was able to spend more time on that because somehow it consumed less energy for me. And I identify the aspects of what I do that consumes less energy for me, and I focus on them.
That's a great tip.
It's a great hack, actually.
Yeah, identify the areas of your work that suck more energy out of you versus less, and put your focus on the ones that have less. And then with that, we can actually step back a little bit, focus on the other aspects of our life and health that matter. I love that. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you,
that is
Howie.
very
Thank you.
insightful for me. Bernard, what about yourself? What would be your tip?
I think for me, that reframing happened when I had this chat with a financial advisor, and he was trying to poach me into his, to join his team as a financial advisor. And one of the big questions that I asked him, and he rakes in, I think, about 2 mil a month. So a lot of money. Yeah, a month.
Wow.
I mean, he is top of table, right? Extremely well accomplished guy financially. So I asked him, well, you make all this money now. Good for you. So what? What's the angle? And I wasn't really able to get a satisfactory answer from him. Satisfactory in the sense that, what are you doing all this for, right? What is the, what's life to you? And it constantly seemed like chasing that dollar. Now, don't get me wrong. We need to be financially viable. And oftentimes chasing that 6 figures, or for some people chasing that 7 figures, it does give you a lot more options. But I feel like financial resilience is something that really needs to tie in together with health, right? It gives you, number one, peace of mind when it comes to mental health. Nobody plans for the rainy days, right? But if you have the option in the event that a thunderstorm does hit, to be able to sleep well and recover well with that peace of mind, it does give you peace. It does give your family peace as well. So I am a firm believer of making sure that you're well covered for insurance, making sure that that the basic stuff, right, especially hospitalization, does get covered. So I think go talk to your financial advisor. Go talk to the people who also care about you, right, and understand what needs to be done in the event that things don't go as planned.
Yeah, because sometimes we're blind to our own blind spots, and it takes a third party to see that and tell us and call us out for it before we realize.
And life is not a linear path, right? There are ups and downs, and we never know when health might slow us down, and that's where we need to plan our life accordingly and very meaningfully and purposefully.
Exactly. Thank you so much for sharing with us your story. So to all of our listeners out there, we hope that you have enjoyed today's episode. And it is a reminder for all of us, myself included, that even as we go about our daily lives, our work, our career, don't forget to listen to your body, like what our guests have shared. Listen to the people around you, because sometimes they might see that we're close to burnout or doing something that's actually detrimental to us, and we don't realize it. We don't want to wait until it's too late. So start by the little everyday actionable steps with your own calm, your own stress levels, your diet, your nutrition. And we trust that you guys will find this useful as you go about the rest of your day. Thank you for tuning in. I'm your host, Dawn. This is your episode of Wise and Shine, hosted with Alex.
Yes, and if you're not already following us on social media or on our mailing list, head on down to our website, www.thefinancialcoconut.com, and put in your email address.
We'll see you guys in the next episode. Let us know what you think in the comments, and we'll see you then. Bye.
Bye.